Hey there Tone Chasers, I'm Robert and welcome back to Tone Chase Basement. What if I told you that the secret to John Frusciante's legendary tone isn't just in his fingers, his amps or his vintage strat, but in one very specific pedal? Well, mostly just a part of it, and that pedal is the original Boss CE1 chorus, and I don't have that pedal. It's a vintage pedal and it's rare and it costs a fortune, but luckily Grobert Effects makes the one chorus, which is actually a faithful recreation of the Boss CE1, and this isn't just an ordinary chorus pedal. This might just be the pedal that unlocks John Frusciante's signature sound. So stay tuned because we're about to go full, by the way, on this one. But before we do that, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. But first, let's meet the makers. So, who is Grobert Effects? Well, they are a boutique pedal company dedicated to bring back legendary vintage tone to life, but with a modern twist. So, their focus is on high-quality, faithful recreations of iconic circuits, meticulously designed to capture the essence of the originals, while improving reliability, flexibility, and user-friendliness for today's musicians. So they are based in Poland. Grobert Effects has quickly built a reputation among serious tone chasers for their attention to detail, premium components, and no-compromise approach to sound quality. Their pedals aren't just clones, they're refined tributes to the classics, engineered for musicians who demand both vintage warmth and modern reliability. So, if you're someone who obsesses over the little details in tone, which, let's be real, you probably do, otherwise why are you watching this? Then this is a brand you need to have on your radar. Alright, now let's talk about John Frusciante. Well, if you know me, then you know that he's my #1 guitar hero, and I like to talk about his guitar tone. That's the way it is. When you think of John's tone, especially on albums like Californication, By the Way, and Stadium Arcadium, what comes to mind? That lush 3D clean tone, that snappy percussive attack, and the way his chords seem to float in the mix. It's not just the clean sound of the Marshall Silver Jubilee on its own. Well, a lot of that comes down to one pedal, the Boss CE1. The Boss CE1 isn't just a plain chorus, it's got a built-in preamp that subtly overdrives the signal, adding a touch of harmonic saturation that interacts perfectly with his Marshall amps. Frusciante runs his CE1 in front of a Marshall Major and a Silver Jubilee, setting the amp just below the edge of breakup, and then, boom, the CE1 preamp pushes it to a little more to reach that edge. And it's not about crazy gain, it's about just the touch-sensitive, expressive slight drive that makes every note pop. The problem is that the Boss CE1 is huge, rare and expensive. Honestly, very impractical pedal in many ways. And the modern chorus pedals, well, they don't include that crucial preamp, so that's where the one chorus comes in. And Grobert Effects did something genius with this pedal. They took everything that made the CE1 special, the analog warmth, the lush modulation, and most importantly, the preamp, and pegged it into a more pedalboard friendly enclosure. It's still a relatively big pedal, but more like a modern big pedal, which can be nicely implemented onto any pedal board. Alright, now we are gonna build Johnstone, and for that we are gonna use my Fender 62 American Vintage reissue with Klopman Real 62 pickups in it, as this is of course the John Frusciante style guitar for that purpose. And regarding the amps, we'll start with a Marshall style amp. Frusciante uses big Marshalls, Marshall Major, Silver Jubilee, or even a Plexi style circuit. I don't have any of those amps, but any Marshall style amp will get you to a similar ballpark. I'm gonna use the Friedman Smallbox 50 here on the first channel, which is in my opinion just the best and perfect Plexi style amp. The key is to set it to the point just before breakup. A clean tone with a little hair when you dig in it, but when you reach that point, just dial back the gain slightly. And then we are going to put the one chorus into the chain. So set the preamp to original mode, leave the preamp on low and dial the preamp level control to reach unity volume level, which means that the volume is the same when the pedal is on or off. You can check it by turning on to the true bypass mode when the preamp is off, then you get your unity volume on the amp, and when you turn it to the original, then check the volume level with the preamp level on this knob. When you reach that unity level, just raise it a little bit more until you hear the signal is still clean, but when you really dig in to the strings, then you get that slight crunch and saturation, but still not very dirty and muddy. This is where the magic happens, and it adds just enough push to your amp, that snappy percussive attack. So the key features are, of course, the chorus and the vibrato. So just like the original, you get that thick organic chorus or a warbly vibrato. No other chorus pedal has that natural and lush sound like the CE1. So it's not that very annoying 80s kind of overused chorus, but has that more vintage warm character to it. The preamp with the original true bypass mode, unlike the Boss CE1 where the preamp is always on, here you can choose to bypass it. So if you want to use the preamp, just set it to original, or if you want to use the chorus without the preamp, then set it to true bypass. Then the high and low preamp modes. The low preamp mode gives you that classic CE1 boost with a slight edge and attack, while the high mode gives you more saturation and boost to the low end, but as Lucas from Grobert explained it to me, the high mode generally is not advised for guitar but rather with keyboards and synths on line level instruments. And there is the stereo output, very great option if you want to plug this into 2 amps and prepare for instant Frusciante magic, but the real magic is that preamp. And you might ask now, is this all? Can't I just do that without this preamp only by raising the gain on the amp? Or just use any clean boost pedal for it? Well, you can, but that is not the point. And it's not exactly the same effect. The preamp inside the one chorus is not just about volume, it's about tone shaping, dynamic response, and harmonic saturation in a way that neither an amp's gain knob nor a standard clean boost can fully replicate. And that EQ curve and flavor how this preamp colors your guitar signal is the John Frusciante sound. Even at unity gain, it subtly enhances the signal with a warmth and compression that interacts with your playing dynamics. This is not just a volume increase, it's a transformation of the character of your signal. The slight saturation adds a touch of harmonic richness, making clean tones feel thicker, rounder, and more 3D, alive while still maintaining clarity. If you would just turn up the gain on your amp, you're pushing the preamp tubes harder, which can work, but it's not quite the same. The amp's gain stage is designed to distort the entire signal, meaning you get more drive, but you also lose some clarity and articulation at lower dynamics. With the preamp from the one chorus, you're hitting the amp's input a little harder, but in a very specific way. It's not just about adding gain, but about introducing a soft clipping effect that enhances the effect of your playing before the preamp, actual preamp of your amp. And this is what gives Frusciante's tone that snappy, almost percussive quality, where even light playing feels articulate, and digging into the strings produces a slight breakup without getting overly saturated or muddy. Most clean boost pedals focus on full range frequency boosting, which means they push all frequencies equally, and that can work well, but it often doesn't produce the same interaction with your amp's front end. The CE1 style preamp in the one chorus doesn't just boost, it subtly shapes the frequencies, emphasizing the upper mids in a really musical way. And this is the range where the guitar naturally cuts through a mix, giving you a more present vocal-like quality, rather than just making everything louder. And this is why Frusciante's clean tone is never dull or lifeless, even when playing with minimal effects. It's always punchy, bright, but not harsh, and harmonically rich, and that's exactly what this preamp helps to achieve. And now, if you're thinking,
okay, but my amp already gets that slight crunch when I dig in.
You're not wrong, but this preamp interacts with your amp differently than just increasing the gain. It's more like running your amp through an old school recording console, adding a bit of that vintage 1073 preamp magic that makes notes bloom and chords shimmer just right. And this is why the CE1's preamp has been a studio secret weapon for decades. Not only just for John Frusciante, but for countless players looking to add that special something to their clean and edge of breakup tones. And the one chorus from Grobert just nails that character with an insane accuracy. So I've been talking about the preamp for a while now, not even mentioning the chorus and the vibrato parts of it. Of course, John Frusciante also likes to use both of these effects very often on his clean or even overdriven sounds too. It just adds depth and additional dimension to those lush clean sounds. Regarding the chorus, set the chorus intensity knob around halfway, and this keeps it subtle, adding movement without going on full 80s. And for his vibrato tone, switch to Vibrato Mode, and now you're swimming in Frusciante's sonic ocean with wet sand in it. And here's the kicker: lifetime warranty? That's not just good customer service, that's a company that stands behind its pedals 100%. When you buy a Grobert pedal, you're not just getting a great effect, you're getting a piece of gear that's built to last a lifetime. With the One Chorus, they've taken one of the most sought after, hard to find vintage effects in history and brought it back in a way that makes it more usable, more pedalboard friendly, and even more versatile without losing any of the magic. And of course more affordable and acquirable. So please visit their website and get one of these. Now that's a dedication to great tone, and you're gonna see more of awesome Grobert pedals on this channel very soon. So in the end, does the One Chorus unlock John Frusciante's tone? I'd say hell yes. The preamp, the warmth, the lush movement, it's all in there, and unlike the original CE1, you get more flexibility, more control, and a more pedalboard friendly footprint. If you're chasing Frusciante's sound or just want the most legendary chorus pedal in history, this is it. Drop a comment below what's your favorite John Frusciante tone, and if you dug this video, hit like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you don't miss the next deep dive into killer tones. Until next time. And remember, the perfect tone is always just within reach.